Hello, Merry Meet. So I want to review a book. And the book I want to review is this one. Learning Lenormand, Traditional Fortune-Telling for Modern Life by Marcus Katz and Tali Goodwin. So the Lenormand is a cartomancy system, as in divination with cards. And it was I think it was developed by Napoleon's own personal diviner, and has been fairly popular since then. I would say that after the tarot, the Lenormand is the most known card-based fortune-telling system today. And as you can see, it is partly based on a deck of cards, a regular deck of cards, but there are some differences. But anyway, I had no idea about the Lenormand other than having heard the name when I got this book, and I would say that it do a pretty good job in instructing. But let us look at the index, as I usually do with books. We have, and by the way, what I said about who made it, don't take out as a fact, that's what I think I remember. I am in any way, shape or form an expert on the Lenormand, as I basically just have this book and a deck. So yeah, we have an introduction which basically just talks about the book, the topic, and so on. We have 1, A Tale of Two Cities, 2, Getting Started, 3, The Cards, 4, Reading the Cards in Context. Now these 4 chapters basically set you up with the basic knowledge of how to read the cards. I think that the reading the cards in context is a very interesting one, and one that a lot of tarot books miss, but which is so important, because a card does not have the same meaning if it's placed in one position in a layout than another position. Then we have the grand tableau, the houses, knighting, counting, and diagonals. Also basically about how to read the cards, zones and shadows, and the 9-card layout and sample reading. The Lenormand is more dependent on the layouts and such than the tarot is. In a way, while there are far fewer cards, it's a more complex system, but it is quite interesting. Then you have an afterword Lenormand for tarot readers, which is a very interesting one, since I am experienced with the tarot but have literally no experience with the Lenormand. And Appendix 1, The Game of Hope. Appendix 2, The Game of Picket. Further resources, glossary, bibliography, endnotes, and credit list. So yeah, I think that this is a pretty good starter book. Now, of course, like I said, this is my first book on the Lenormand, so I might not be the best person to review this because I don't have a lot to compare it with, but I think it gave pretty good information. So yeah, for the cards, it gives basically a page to each card. And I think that gives enough information to start to understand them. And it gives some exercises, like for example here, that are good ways to get into it and form relationships with the cards and understanding them. And various versions of how to read their meanings in connection to one another, and so on and so forth. So yes, I don't really have anything negative to say about this book. Now, of course, like I said, I'm not very experienced with this system, I will probably come back and do another review of this once I've read a few other books about the Lenormand, because as it is now, I can't really tell if some of the information is wrong or some of the information isn't right. It seems pretty okay by me, but you can see this as a beginner's review. Somebody who has read a lot about this system might have a completely different opinion. For me, it seems like a very good starting book, because it gives you enough information to get started and enough information to get interested in further research and knowing where to start with further research without overwhelming you so much with information that you just get confused. The book does not seem to bite over more than it can chew, and instead give you the information in a nice pace that makes it easier to remember. I think it's a very nice practical book that will get you reading with this system fairly quickly. The book is fairly well written. Some books, while they might be very informative, are extremely boring to read because the language is very dull. I wouldn't say this one is. It has definitely academical kind of feel to it, but it's not boring. It's well written. It's a fairly big book. It is, let's see here. There's a lot of ads in the back. 284 with an index. So yes, I would say that the Lenormand takes longer to read than the tarot, because it's not that easy to just basically catch a few lines about each card and just get going with it. And like I said, the system is a little bit more complicated, while there at the same time are far fewer cards. So it's of course easier to memorize them, but that might just be my experience with it. I think this book is a fairly good place to start. So far I am very pleased with it. And yeah, I think it's interesting. I mean, it has everything you might need: card layouts, sample readings, information on the cards, how the cards work together. Yeah, everything you might need. Nice little diagrams where you need them, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I'm pleased with it. I might have more to say about the book once I have read more books about this system. But as for now, I think this is a very good beginner's manual. And yeah, it's very difficult for me to set a number on it because I can't compare it to other books. But compared to basically books for learning the tarot and other fortune-telling systems, I'll give it 8 out of 10. It's pretty good. So yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this video. And that was my review of Learning Lenormand, Traditional Fortune-Telling for Modern Life by Marcus Katz and Tali Goodwin. Have a great day, and blessed be.